Hello, friends. Welcome to another episode of TV is Our Real Mom. I'm Dave,
I'm Catie.
and you are listening to our weekly Westworld podcast, in which we break down the latest episode of the hit HBO series Westworld. This Sunday night was episode 6 of the series, entitled, what was it?
The Adversary.
The Adversary. Very good. Uh, Definitely a tier 1 episode, Catie.
We haven't busted that out in a while. Yeah, it was definitely a tier 1 episode, which is weird. There was no Dolores or William or Logan, but it was probably the best episode so far, I might say.
Yes, totally agree.
So, lots to break down, attempt to break down. And I don't know where you want to start. It's more fresh in your mind. I know you just watched it, so where do you think a good place to start would be?
Being that I don't really know a best place to start, why don't we just start at the beginning of the episode?
That's usually a pretty good place to start. Although with Westworld, you have no idea if the beginning of the episode, linear time-wise, like where it is. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, the timeline's all screwy in this show.
Tis. Although I'm a little, well, we will discuss it. We'll discuss.
I saw a Facebook post being sponsored that someone said, the headline said Westworld is a show of two storylines 30 years apart or something. And I was like,
Yeah,
hey, that was our idea.
No, that's I think what lots of people have said, but you can't also just blast that on Facebook because there's no proof that that's true either. So
I know, but they did.
Yeah, well, those
There's no
weird
rules.
Facebook posts, ad posts, you can't trust
There's
them.
no rules. I mean, you're just going for clickbait. That's all it's about. So
Yep.
just like Westworld, there's no rules.
Is that the subtitle of the show? Westworld, clickbait.
Yeah, exactly. Anyways, so I wanted to ask you, because I don't know. Do you know what the which song was playing on the player piano at the beginning? Because that sounded really familiar to me and I couldn't put my finger on it. Do you know what it is?
I don't know offhand, but I read that most of the songs in this episode were Radiohead.
Oh, I thought it was a Radiohead song.
Yeah,
Okay.
which I also have something to say about, but we'll get there later.
Okay, cool. Yeah, definitely. That's definitely a Radiohead song. I'm just not sure which one, but thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, so kind of starts off with Maeve. She's basically trying to get murdered. Is that right?
Yeah, so somehow she's figured out that dying is good. So she remembers enough to know that if she dies, she's going to go to cold storage with Felix and she's going to get more information that somehow she's retaining. Because otherwise, when she wakes up, she wouldn't know that it's time to die again, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Because she died like first thing in the morning. She was like, let's go die.
Yeah, that's good. Good stuff. Yep, that's exactly what it appears is going on. She is trying to just speed up the process. Hey, if I get killed early, I can, get closer to figuring out what the hell is going on and go forward with whatever it is she's trying to do. I think, which is just seeking more knowledge about what the hell it's all about.
Yeah, and by the end of the episode, we've learned that someone is relaying information to the older hosts. So are we to assume that Maeve is an older host?
Yes, I guess. I don't know.
I mean, she seems a little more. It's hard to separate the hostness from the impending humanity. If I don't know if they are actually going to achieve human like abilities and all that, but it seems that the whole episode was building up to that reveal that older hosts are being manipulated, and therefore, are we not to assume that Maeve is one of them?
Yeah, I think that seems accurate. Yeah.
Okay. So I forget how many older hosts they said there were. 80 some?
Yeah, I don't remember the exact. I don't remember.
It was more than I thought anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, you're going to have to fill me in on what's going on with some of the deeper stuff. Like,
you mean the Elsie crap?
Yeah, the Elsie, Bernard, and Teresa. more so the Teresa stuff. For some, no offense to the actress or anything, but when Teresa comes on the screen, I space out for some reason. I
It's
don't know.
corporate. We're tuned to not give a
Yeah.
shit about the corporate crap, which is the thing. We find out she's pulling all the strings and she's the one trying to send data out to other places with
Yeah.
the stargazing stray. But I understand. Yeah.
Okay. So
It's boring.
I don't know. I hate to put you on the spot, but can you fill me in on what happened in this episode with Teresa? Especially, there was like a very early on scene with Teresa that I pretty much glossed over the whole thing.
Well, she dumped Bernard.
Oh, see, totally missed that.
Yeah, she called Bernard into her office and she was like, Ford knows about us, so we can't do this anymore. It was very cold.
Yeah.
Which to me wasn't a surprise coming from her. It seems to be in her character. But yeah, she cut Bernard loose, and then by the end of the episode, due to Elsie's digging, Bernard finds out that Teresa is the one who's been sending all this data.
Right, I caught that part. Okay,
away.
So yeah, it was more the early on Teresa stuff I missed. I told that seems pretty important that she dumped Bernard.
Yeah,
totally
I'd say
spaced out.
Yep, she dumped him good. He seemed a little upset about it, but then he showed up at her place later.
Yeah, and that part I caught, so we're good.
Okay, good.
So Teresa, wait, no, I think it was Elsie. Was it Elsie and Bernard talking about the glass being half empty, half full? And they called it, or they mentioned industrial espionage. So can you explain what exactly they were referring to? Do we have enough details about what's going on yet, or are they just saying?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, okay.
Because all I know is, to me, the whole time when Elsie was digging and she's like kept calling Bernard and she's like, I'm onto something. I thought she was going to find out it was Bernard and Bernard was going to go after her and like kill her or something. So I was kind of surprised at the end to find out it wasn't Bernard, that he's not doing that kind of stuff, that it was actually Teresa, which doesn't surprise me now that I think about it, because she seems the type to do something to save her own ass. You know what I mean? To save the company from whatever she thinks Ford is doing that's destroying the park. She wants to send out data to people that maybe he doesn't know about. Is that the thing? Does Ford know about the data being sent out?
I forget.
I thought he knows everything.
I forget now. Elsie has pretty much filled him in on that, right? They kind of discovered the satellites together, didn't they?
No, she has filled Bernard in. I'm talking about Ford. Sorry, Anthony
Ford.
Hopkins.
Oh yeah, I guess we don't know if he knows or not. Yeah.
Yeah, because a couple episodes ago he said, I see, I hear everything, I know everything. So how could he not know what Teresa's been doing? And when she broke up with Bernard, she seemed to also imply that she was going to get rid of Ford. Maybe on some level she knows that Ford knows what she's been doing, which is why he threatened her last week or whatever that was, a couple weeks ago.
Okay. Yeah. I'm totally on board with that.
Yeah, I just worked that out for myself while talking. I don't know if
that's half of what this podcast is, I think.
Yeah, I think so. It's good to talk about it with someone.
Working through stuff. Just filming us working through it.
Yeah, that's right.
So yeah, Bernard discovers 5 anomalies, which are basically unregistered hosts.
Yeah.
And he discovers them in a certain sector, and he says he needs to go downstairs, which basically we find that what is downstairs? What's in the basement?
It's where they send all the crap that doesn't get used anymore. Isn't that where they sent Abernathy when they retired him? That big. And isn't that where Ford goes to drink with his broken not mannequin?
Billy the kid,
buddy, or Billy, whatever his name is.
Yeah.
And the interesting thing is when Bernard logs into a computer down there, it's got a different Westworld logo on it. Same logo that was on the big screen when William and Logan showed up.
Wow. Okay. That's a deep cut. Very good. So are we to assume that that Westworld has changed hands, or
I don't think it's
ownership,
changed hands. I think that's
changed
just
ownership, maybe.
no. I think big companies they they redo their logos, they rebrand their company every now and again. And if it's been 20, 30 years, it's gonna have undergone something to
Oh,
that
so
effect.
it's just more evidence to support that Westworld's been around for a long time,
Bingo.
like a really long time. Okay, gotcha. And so Bernard goes back to the elevator. When he ends up, this was kind of a cool shot that gave us another insight into how Westworld works. Was when the elevator came up into Westworld. Like,
Hmm.
would are we assuming that he goes straight from the basement on the elevator all the way up to that spot?
Well, I don't know
Or
how that works because he can't. There's so many different sectors. They can't all be right above the basement. There
yeah,
must there must have been some tram travel
okay. So yeah,
involved.
because he does kind of come up the elevator and he appears in a spot that's right next to the house. Like he's
Right.
in the correct sector.
Yes.
Yeah. So there's got to be a lot of different spots, like one spot for each sector that you can drop in, basically.
I would say very, very Hunger Games. That's what it reminded me of. A lot of this show reminds me of Hunger Games.
Okay. Yeah.
But when they come up through the tubes and suddenly they're in the
Yeah.
world, that
Yeah.
reminded me of.
That's pretty cool. I liked it. And so Bernard, he discovers a house out in the whatever sector it was.
17,
Was
right?
it really sector 17? I
Think so.
was
I
gonna
don't know.
say that, but I thought it sounded too like cliche or something. Sector 17. Isn't that where Homer Simpson works in The Simpsons?
My knowledge of The Simpsons is minuscule compared to yours. So
Yeah. I want to say that I can just hear Smithers' voice going, Homer J. Simpson, Sector 17.
maybe it's an homage to The
Maybe it's
Simpsons.
Sector 7G or something like that.
I think that's it.
Sector 7G, that might be it.
Yeah.
Anyways, so in Sector 17, Bernard discovers a house, and inside is,
A creepy Welsh family
yeah.
of robots.
Yeah.
That is also
And
Ford's.
yeah, so Ford is in there, and um, what do we find out? That basically these are old, he calls them ghosts, right? They're,
Yeah, Arnold made them for him, which
yeah.
is a creepy effing gift. If someone gave me like robots of my dead family, I'd be like, "What the hell is this?"
Well, Ford really seems to like the gift. He
Yeah, well,
really,
Ford's a creepy mother effer, so I don't think I go by what he thinks is cool. Like, why is he
yeah.
there all the time? Why did he just happen to be there when Bernard went there? He must spend a lot of time there.
Yeah, I mean, he obviously does. He's basically wearing the same outfit as the little robot kid version of
Yeah, do
himself.
you think has he always worn like a white shirt and a vest and pants? Has that always been his outfit?
Well, they say the most successful people only wear the same outfit every day because it saves them time, energy, and money. Like Steve Jobs, for example, he always wore a turtleneck and jeans because that way he didn't have to waste any time thinking about what to wear, going shopping for clothes,
Well, at least
anything like
Ford picked something a little more dapper than a mock turtleneck.
that.
Sorry, Steve Jobs. I know we owe you a lot, but come on.
All right. Okay.
But yes, that was the creepiest. I mean, it was nice to get confirmation that that little boy was Ford.
Yeah. Yeah.
That
That was
he's
nice.
been he hangs out with himself as a little boy. But it was also cool to see, this is what I mean about how the show it's very deliberately paced. Like it has a blueprint for the season and it's meeting out these bits of information slowly. Last week, was it? We were told by the man in black that older generations of hosts made sense. They were mechanical, they were easy to figure out.
Yeah.
And then when creepy little Ford opens his mouth and his face,
That part was
I mean,
awesome, by the
that was
way. I
amazing,
love
but
that.
terrifying at the same time.
So
But
cool.
we see what that looks like. And I was thinking, are there just like these C3PO looking robots running around? But no, they look human. They're just, when you look inside, they're a lot easier to tell apart. Whereas apparently now they're basically human.
Yeah, when we got to more of a glimpse of that too when we saw Maeve walking around and kind of checking out the upstairs where I guess all the hosts are produced, basically.
Well, she kept going up and up and up and up, and
Yeah,
each level was like a different station for getting the host ready to go out.
yeah, and we get to see that. Yeah, now they basically, as we have pretty much been able to gather about the show before, that these hosts have like blood pumped into their bodies, and so they're just a lot more realistic now.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, about the part with Maeve going up the floors, do you see some symbolism there too? Like higher levels of being, existence,
Maybe I didn't
consciousness.
think of that, but
Like she wants to go to the top, and as human beings, for us, the top level is like God and our creator,
Mm,
like,
mhm.
and we as humans have that innate desire in us too to know the creator. When she said I want to go upstairs, I immediately thought of that. How
Oh, interesting. And
yeah.
also, maybe you could compare it to how she basically demanded from Felix and the other idiot. I don't like him. He reminds me, you know who he reminds me of, to make a Lost comparison, just because it's what it
Frogurt.
reminds me of. No, he reminds me of Radzinski from season 5 of Lost. The guy who was
Radzinski.
always like freaking out and yelling at them, like, "God, you can't do that." And he even
He
kind of looks the same, and I
Yeah,
hated him.
he's got the same haircut. Yeah,
I
for
hated
sure.
Brzezinski, and I hate this guy.
Yeah. Do you think
Although
I
at
should?
least
Do you think I should grow my hair like that, like real, like
no,
longer on the sides and combed over?
no,
You
you
know.
know who you look like? You look like Tom Cullen from The Stand. MOON.
MOON. That spells comb over.
uh,
Yeah.
anyway, how Maeve was telling them basically Dungeons and Dragons style. She wants like to bump her, what was it? Apperception up to like its full
Yeah.
level.
Yeah. It's. She said. Yeah, and I wanted to ask you. I was hoping you would know what she said. She said bulk
Bulk apperception, that's what it
apperception,
is.
and I'm not sure what that means. Do you know what that means?
I think they basically said it's just
Is that like hyper
your
awareness?
yeah, just your awareness of what's going on around you, of what's happening. And once they bumped her up to 20, it looked like she'd, I don't know, taken some kind of
So
pill or something. But
yeah. Well, I mean, you got guys like Eckhart Tolle, preaching the power of now, and Zen Buddhist monks who say, the secret to meditation and to being calm and focused is being present in the moment. And the more present in the moment you are, the more powerful you are. So I think bulk
yeah,
apperception is like that meditative state of being super present and aware. And maybe that's why she like got this. She almost got like a
yeah,
high out of it.
she's like um
Neo. She's like
Tilda
Neo from the.
Swinton or Tilda Swinton in Doctor Strange, which I just saw.
Oh,
So
nice. Yeah, or Neo from the Matrix. Your reference is much more modern and millennial.
yeah, but
You silly
people
millennial.
know the Matrix. Not a
Yeah,
millennial. But
you're not, are you? Yeah,
another, I just
sorry.
wanted to mention, the scene where she's going up the levels and walking around, and the orchestra music that's playing in the background, that
Yeah.
got a lot of like praise online about how amazing it was, and it
Hmm.
was. And
Was it
I
a
read some,
Radiohead song?
yeah, that was also a Radiohead song, which I
Okay.
didn't know watching it, because I'm not some emo 90s Radiohead kid. Sorry if you
Hey,
are.
I'm
I don't know.
not either, really, but I
Yeah,
knew.
but you're really into music, so you know who Radiohead is. I
Yeah.
mean, I know who they are. I
Okay.
just have never been a huge fan.
Yeah, it's not your.
Or
You were never much of an alternative person.
right,
So
exactly.
yeah.
And that doesn't make me a bad person. But
Yeah,
anyway,
it does.
like I read this article that pissed me off to no end about how that scene is garbage because they used the emotional manipulation of Radiohead to take it to the next level. And I was like, first of all, I guarantee you 75% of the people who were watching that, like myself, had no idea that that was a Radiohead song.
Correct.
And
Yeah.
how many movie scenes and television scenes are pushed to the next level because of just orchestration in the background? Imagine the finale of Lost without the music in the background. Imagine the RAF launch without the music.
Yeah. No,
Kind of
no,
boring,
you
right?
gotta have music. Music is a huge part of bringing emotion to, yeah, television and movies in general. I mean,
And
look
also,
at they released this thing. I saw it on Facebook. Somebody came up with, they did an edit of the end of Star Wars. Like, I think it was Star Wars A New Hope, the
Mhm.
end without music. And it's like super awkward and weird.
Yeah, exactly. And like this show from the very first episode has its thing has been to rework like 90s, 80s alternative kind of music and use it for the show just to kind of make you remember that you're not in the old west. You are in a more modern time. And that's
Yeah.
the contrast of the music, the way it sounds, and the actual music you're listening to is what makes that so cool. So for him to suddenly, whatever idiot wrote this article, to suddenly have some issue with they were using this Radiohead song to emotionally manipulate the audience, is you're basically saying all orchestration and music in television shows and movies is manipulation, which it is on some level, but it's good manipulation most of the time, and we need it.
I bet that same guy loved the scene in the new Star Trek movie where they put in that Beastie Boys song "Sabotage."
No,
Like,
I think he's the kind of person who rips on everything, so
yeah.
he probably had an issue with that too.
Well, that's, I mean, he'd be like hypocritical about it. He'd like love that when they did Sabotage, but not when they
Yeah.
did this. Anyways, sorry.
Anyways, it was a really great scene, and I loved it so much. And
No, I thought it was great.
yeah, so
I loved how it was like showing us how like they were putting hosts through like the sort of like, this is what people do, you know, like people like play poker, and this is what cowboys do. They're like training them or testing
yeah,
them, you know, running them through the motions of like human things that people
yeah,
do
and it
in
was
life.
nice to see it. Like there was a similar like tour in one of the early episodes, but in this
Hmm.
case, we've learned so much, and we're seeing it through one of the hosts' eyes, and it like makes it just I don't know, sadder on some level because she's learning that she has had no control over her whole life because she doesn't really have a life. She's just a machine,
Hmm.
but she's aware of that. So it was a whole different spin on how to see the labs and
Yeah, I guess there was a element of sadness to it. I can see that for sure.
yeah.
Um, okay, let's see. I thought it was interesting that Ford was willing to spare that town. He was willing to cut the Canyon production short just to
Yeah.
spare the town. Does this mean he has some sort of sympathy for hosts, or
That place?
does it mean anything at all?
I
Is it
don't know.
irrelevant?
That's a question that I'm sure they dropped it in for a reason, that little scene. So we'll probably learn what exactly it means, but maybe he just thought it was cute. A cute little town.
Yeah, that could be all it is. So we have Teddy and, sorry, Man in Black. We don't have a name for him yet, right?
No, we don't.
Black
Ed
Arnold,
Harris.
Ed Harris.
Yeah.
um, yeah. So we have those two continuing their journey, and Teddy, was it Teddy that had an awesome quote about the maze? Like,
Yeah, he told him.
I felt like he basically explained what the maze was, and now
Yeah, I
I'm
think I kind of couldn't hear it a lot at that part.
okay. Let me see if I can remember some of it. He basically said that somebody built a house at the center and then built a maze around it, so that it would be extremely difficult for anyone. I can't
Yeah,
remember
but
to.
there was a reason that he built it at the center. Like something had happened, and therefore
Yeah,
he had to build this house at the center of the maze. But this is again the lore that Teddy has, and I apologize that we don't have the exact wording of what happened. But
yeah. Maybe I'll go in after this and I'll put the quote in the comments, but
sure,
because it was like this paragraph explanation story of the maze, that I thought was really good. But like you said, maybe that's just the narrative that Teddy's been given, and that's all, and there's nothing more to it.
well, it's just like Hector had that tale about the shade, the being who walks between worlds, and really it's just one of the lab guys coming in to collect the dead. But that was,
There's truth to it.
but yeah, there's truth to it. It's all
It's
about how
like,
you perceive it.
yeah, they're given these narratives, but there's elements of truth to them.
So do you think Arnold's at the center of the maze?
That's what it sounds like. Either Arnold or I don't know what's. I could be way off, but what's the deal with Wyatt? Maybe Wyatt is at the center of the
I don't
maze.
know what the hell
Maybe
Wyatt is. To
maybe
me, I don't
Wyatt.
think Wyatt really exists.
Oh yeah, he's a fabricated figment of the host's
He's
imagination.
being used to manipulate the man in
Teddy.
black to get somewhere, because that was implanted in Teddy by Ford,
Oh
and
yeah.
and the man in black only learned of him from Armistice. So he must have implanted something in Armistice too, because he didn't know his name until then.
Okay.
So, but anyway, I had a theory about the maze that I wanted to run by you.
Let's hear it.
Not so much the maze, maybe kind of the maze. But anyway, about Dolores and all that crap. Even though there wasn't any Dolores in this episode, it's been on my mind since last week, and we didn't talk about it last week. But anyway, you know how when they were in, William and Logan and Dolores, they were in Pariah, which is the name of the town, the sex town, the orgy town, where they were.
Okay, yeah. Now I got it.
That's Pariah. But the
Call it orgy town from here on
orgy
out.
town, okay. The maze symbols seem to be everywhere.
Yeah.
Whereas the man in black had to cut off one of the host's scalps to find it, which implies that, again, seems to support the theory that the William story is 30 years or whatever, a few years ago. And I think that Dolores was sent to him purposely to lead him astray, lead him on a particular mission set in motion by Arnold. And he put the maze as like signposts for Dolores to keep leading him on this path. And so William knows that the maze is a thing, but now 30 years later, that I feel like that's when the critical failure happened, and that had something to do with it.
Okay.
And this whole time, the man in black still believes that the maze is a real thing. I don't know if they're the same guy, not sure. But the maze is super hidden now because Arnold went away. Ford tried to cover up everything that happened. And now to find the maze is a lot harder than it was.
Yeah.
back then.
No, I think it's a really excellent theory. I think I would give like 80%. I'm leaning 80% that that's exactly right. Basically, the maze used to be a lot more prevalent. Arnold had hidden it everywhere as a clue in Westworld, but as soon as Ford found out about the maze, and that's he did an overhaul and tried to take every instance of the maze out of Westworld, and now the only spot you can find it is like under a dude's scalp or something like that. So
which he keeps with him.
Yeah,
which that's why he can't find it anywhere else.
Yeah, very good. Still not convinced William is Ed Harris, but I suppose it's possible.
Here's a check mark against it.
Okay.
Well, I thought we were going to get a solid check mark against it because William and Teddy were heading towards Pariah, and people were coming from Pariah saying like, oh boy, there's trouble in Pariah. So I was waiting like, oh, okay, they're going to get there. And if they run into Logan or whatever, we'll know that this is at the same time. And that will just completely abolish that theory. But of course, they never made it to Pariah in the episode.
Right. So we don't know yet.
We don't know. But it seems to be like there's always the narrative loop involving Pariah. Even 30 years ago, there's probably always trouble in Pariah. I mean, it's an orgy town.
I think that's exactly it. I think they're putting that in the show for people like us to be like, oh, I wonder if it is the same timeline. And then when he gets there, we'll realize that, oh, there was trouble in Pariah, but it's not the same trouble.
Yeah. I mean, there's probably a lot of trouble in a place like that.
Exactly. Like you said, it's part of the narrative that's been designed for that town. There's always trouble in Pariah.
Yeah, and it's like further out. It's a quest that only the really dedicated guys and girls get to enjoy.
Yeah. That's a good point. Let's talk a little bit about Maeve and her little scientist friend,
Felix.
Yeah, Felix. I like the part where she says, "How do you know?" Like, how do you know that you're human and I'm not human? Like, what's the difference? How can you tell? I just liked that moment, but then we actually got sort of an explanation that basically um, the human brain actually isn't as even close to as powerful as these brains, these like computer brains they've developed for the hosts. Their brains are actually way more powerful. And he says the only difference is we have control. Like humans have control over the hosts.
Hmm.
So obviously,
But
the way things are going, that's going to change, right?
yeah, well, if these older hosts, but this, see, that's the whole thing that I'm a little bit, is this revelation that someone is manipulating the older hosts is almost disappointing in a way, because I thought that something was going to happen, that these robots were evolving to such an extent that they actually were going to have free will and become more human-like. But now we find out that they are, at least from what we've been told, they're just being manipulated by somebody else on a different level.
Yeah, I don't know. I still get a feeling like there is something to the evolving consciousness theory part of this. But yeah, I guess if you take that at face value, it's basically saying that, yeah, they're not evolving. They're just, they're still under control. It's just somebody else is controlling them,
But it could
right?
also be Arnold is, if it is Arnold, who the hell is
Yeah.
Arnold? Probably isn't even real. But
Yeah.
if he is the one sending all these messages for them to disobey orders and all this stuff, maybe he's doing it because eventually that will lead them to free will and freedom. He knows how to get them there. He's just helping them along the way. Because little boy Ford was able to kill the damn dog, right?
Ah,
And lie
yeah.
to Ford about it.
And
And
Ford didn't
Ford
seem
was
too
like,
happy about that.
no.
It's a
So,
little creepy when the robots figure out how to kill and you're not sure why they did it.
and they can lie to you about it.
Yeah, they try to lie to you. Yeah, that's really scary.
But
When the little
another, that's,
robot boy lies to you about murdering the dog, it's time to get scared.
but that's the other thing that I loved about that scene too, is that even that was a callback. It was a callback to the last episode and his story about the Greyhound. And the little
Okay,
boy
yeah.
said the Greyhound caught the rabbit and killed it. So then he killed the Greyhound
Ah, yes. Very good.
because, well, I don't know why, but
Because reasons.
because reasons, yeah.
Oh, that's a
Millennials
classic.
have ruined the American language. The American language. The English language, excuse me.
Yeah, I mean, language was pretty much invented in America, so
Perfected, maybe.
yeah. Oh, crap. I really lost my train of thought.
That's okay. Do you want to talk about Elsie and how dumb she was? I was about ready to, if I could have throttled that girl, I would have been like, what are you doing? You don't go examine this crap by
By
yourself.
yourself in a
You
dark
don't
room.
examine corporate espionage in a creepy abandoned theater with robots maybe deviating from their loops. Like, what is she thinking? I'm surprised we didn't see her just get straight up murdered.
Yeah, well, she did get strangled from behind at the end of the episode, right? That's what
Yeah,
happened.
but if we didn't see her die,
She's not gonna die. No, I don't think so. But somebody choked her out, basically,
yeah,
right?
they
Yeah. Okay.
they meat hooked her and dragged her away. I don't know if they choked her out,
Okay. Yeah.
but who do you think it was? Do you have any theories as to who that would be? There's a reason they didn't show him, right?
Well, she said Arnold, right? She's like Arnold.
Did she say that?
I think so
She's like the
because
audience, because that's what the
well,
audience was thinking.
maybe I thought there was something that led to her kind of figuring out that Arnold has something to do with all this, and that's why she's like Arnold. And yeah, who's Arnold? Oh, I just remembered. Yeah, a theory. Sorry, I
Okay.
wanted to throw this out there.
Oh, go
And
ahead.
it probably you'll probably find a hole in it immediately, but that's okay. I need to throw it out. So,
Throw it.
um, what if Arnold is actually Ford's brother, the same brother that Ford was patting on the head as he was talking
Oh,
about him?
the one, he didn't really say anything, did he? He was just kind of like,
No. What if Arnold not didn't just make it the family as a gift to Ford, but it was sort of like he wanted
huh,
to make it for both of them, or for because he's the brother.
that could be. That could
Okay,
certainly be. No,
I
I
thought
know
maybe.
there's a lot of theories out there about, oh, the Man in Black is Ford's son, which I think is lazy and dumb. But you know, theories about like people being related to people, and that's certainly a possibility.
Those are always the most abundant theories, right? It's like it's
Yeah.
his brother's ex-wife.
Because of Star Wars. They
Yeah.
they ruined that forever.
Yeah. Yeah, Luke, I am your father. That pretty much
It changed the game.
changed the game. Spoiler alert.
Yeah. Spoiler alert.
30. Wait, I
30.
didn't say who said that. I didn't say who said Luke, I am your father. So
It was Han Solo.
yeah. Okay. Anyway, so back to sorry, I derailed.
No, I was just
the thing.
bitching about Elsie. Like, it irks me to no end, but an otherwise intelligent character does something so stupid. And she kept finding out information, and I kept being shocked that she was actually learning stuff. But I'm like, well, it's only a matter of time before someone stabs her in the head. In this show, we'd probably see the knife coming through the front of her head. You know, it's HBO.
Yeah. This is HBO. This isn't ABC.
No. But it leads me to believe that it's somebody not terrible, because she found the information, she relayed it to her boss, so it's out there now. You know, Bernard knows what Teresa's doing. So I just don't know if it's necessarily somebody evil that's lurking down there.
Right.
It's probably Arnold or someone with a connection to Arnold.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point, I think. Okay, let's see here. I was gonna. Oh yeah, we need to talk a little bit about the writer, the
yeah
guy.
I was wondering where the hell he'd been. I was like, oh, is he just gone now? And then he showed up.
Yeah, I really liked what they did with him in this episode. I thought it was really fun.
Pretty funny.
Yeah,
they were saying the show needs more humor, and he provides it. So
yeah, they added some levity with his character, which is really nice. So what do you think's going on with this young woman that he seems smitten with? He has drinks with her at the bar by the pool. He's kind of trying to have drinks with her. He's trying to mac on her, basically. Yeah. And what do we find out she is? She's from like the new ownership or something. She's like executive.
She's on the board. She's some bigwig on the board. And she's there to like see how things are going, I think. So Teresa's probably not thrilled because she wants to get rid of Ford. And she seemed to imply to Sizemore, the British little weasel, that he could replace Ford when he gets fired, because that's what she's thinking is going to happen. I don't think it's going to work out too well for her. But anyway, she wants Sizemore to be the next Ford, basically. And then he pees all over the virtual whatever, and he turns to her with his wang hanging out. So probably not a great.
That part was awesome. And I love how he's like, it's raining on this little town or something.
Oh, what an idiot. But
oh, that was great.
No, it was good.
No, I think that at least temporarily you might see that go down, like that actually happened, where this guy replaces Ford. The reason that could happen is because he's probably like easy to control, right? They're setting up a replacement for Ford that they can basically manipulate.
They're setting up somebody who's all about money.
Yeah, exactly.
It appears to be, and Ford, not so much. Although Ford did seem to imply that Arnold was even more so not interested in money. Ford was, but even he is more about being in power and being like a god, and overseeing this world that he's created, whereas Sizemore kind of just seems to want some money.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. And I think you're going to see something about this storyline come to fruition.
Right.
It's like even if he doesn't actually get to the point of replacing Ford, he's going to get really close, I think. And maybe something happens to Sizemore.
I can see him. He's a good candidate for first human casualty.
Yeah. And him and the woman, the young woman exec that's replacing.
Right. Mm-hmm.
They could both die together by some Ford, plot.
You could just off both of them.
But I think it's going to come close to actually happening, the replacement.
Mm-hmm.
let's see. Can we talk a little bit about Teddy and the militia thing, or
Yeah,
the
Teddy
the
went
army
dark
stuff?
side.
Yeah, so we're getting to see more and more that Teddy has something built into his coding that he's a warrior, right? I mean, he can really kill people if he wants
Yeah,
to. He can lay it
not
down.
people that we
Well,
know
he
of.
can kill hosts,
Hosts,
other
yes.
hosts. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So he's a fighter, I guess.
Yes.
Don't you feel like that's what they're trying to tell us here? That Teddy is capable of hurting people.
Right. Well, I was exactly on the same page as the Man in Black when after he grabbed the Gatling gun and mowed down the entire crew.
Hmm.
And the Man in Black was like, "Geez, you think you know somebody?" And I was like, "Yeah, exactly. Where the hell did
Yeah,
this Teddy come from? And why?
yeah.
Like, why was
Well,
he programmed to do that?"
his murder attribute is raised to
20?
15. No, what was it? 5 to 15 was the max, I think.
I don't recall.
I believe it's 5 to 15 because they put her intelligence at 14, not
Uh-huh.
quite 15. They want her to
Right.
be as smart as possible, but not too smart.
No, I thought it could go up to 20. And that's why
Um,
she was mad it was at a 14.
maybe you're right. I thought it was 5 to 15, they said, but I can't remember
I
exactly.
think that's where they try to keep people. But it can go up to 20? I don't know.
Oh, that
Whatever.
could be. Yeah. Well, I just really liked that whole thing too with the attributes. As a gamer, I really appreciated that.
Mm-hmm.
I've been playing a little bit of Skyrim again the last couple of days,
Oh.
and your character, has all these different attributes, and it's
Agility,
yeah, agility, luck, uh, whatever it is,
lock picking.
lock picking. But yeah, I love the video game analogy to these, the programming, the
Mm-hmm.
coding of these characters. You can basically give them attributes and number assignments to that. Like in this episode, they used clumsiness as the example, or not well, maybe it was just agility. Yeah, right, agility or
Yeah.
something. And they can make people really clumsy by setting their agility at 5. And
Yeah.
it's a cool idea. I like that a lot.
It is a cool idea. I mean, they're not going to stop with the gaming parallels because this is underneath it all, this is a game, and the Man in Black story is all about hacking the game. So,
Hmm.
and the other thing I was thinking is at the beginning in the first episode, we come away thinking the Man in Black is like just straight up evil. Like he drags Dolores into that barn, and we assume we know what happened in that barn, but we don't know. Now, I mean, how do you feel about the Man in Black? Are you thinking he's still straight up villain?
No, I don't know. You got to look back at the conversation, the palaver between Teddy, Ford, and the Man in Black,
Mm-hmm.
and you almost come away from that feeling like the Man in Black is sort of like the I don't know, kind of like the guy that's going to get to the bottom of the corruption or something, like the guy that's been downtrodden, and he's going to figure out, where the corruption lies or something like that. I don't
Or
know.
maybe they're just trying to get us to relate to a villain, which I always appreciate. I don't like it
Yeah.
when you have cartoonish, mustache twirling villains like on the show Poldark, which is a completely different kind of show, but still one that I watch.
Yeah.
But I like it when you have someone like this guy and you're like, okay, or like Benjamin Linus in Lost, where you're interested in why they are that way and what their motives are for everything.
Yeah, that's a really good comparison. I think Benjamin Linus and Lost, like he's definitely a villain, but they do enough character development to the point where you almost like there comes a
Feel
point in
for
the
him.
show. Yeah, there comes a point in the show where you don't hate him anymore, and you're like, I actually kind of like Benjamin Linus, which is
He makes
weird.
me chuckle.
Yeah, so I totally agree. It takes a lot more thought and effort to develop a villain that people can relate to, understand, and it's not so black and white. I think that's kind of what we're getting out of both Ford and Man in Black are gray area villains.
And
Yet
Teddy
this
now.
and Teddy, I guess, I don't know. I guess he killed a lot of people, didn't he?
That was straight up murderous, though. Like, that was straight up just killing.
Well, we don't know exactly what happened.
Yeah.
Oh, I guess you're talking about the Gatling gun part. Gatling
Yeah.
gun. Okay. we know what happened there. But his
Yeah.
his flashback though, it his flashback was about him killing a bunch of people, and
Right.
they were all lying there dead. But I'm still not sure, like, why did he do it? Like, what was the motive? What was the story behind it?
Well,
You
didn't he
know?
seem to come to remember that he was with Wyatt and he was like killing people with Wyatt?
Yes, it was the person when they showed a guy look at him in the memory. That
Yeah.
wasn't Wyatt, was it?
Yeah, the guy with the beard.
That's Wyatt.
That's what we're supposed to think. I don't think
Okay.
Wyatt really exists
Oh
now.
yeah, yeah. But
The only image we have
so
of
they
him
have
is
shown this guy before, right?
just that same shot, like Teddy remembering him,
Oh yeah.
is how
See,
they
I
show Wyatt.
don't remember them showing that shot before, but yeah, makes more sense. Yeah. Okay. So that's how Teddy remembers Wyatt, but we don't know if Wyatt's even real.
No.
Right. Okay.
But we know that more than one person, a lot of the hosts now know about him.
Yes.
So
um, I think we've pretty much touched on everything in my notes. Do you have anything else?
No. I thought it was a tier 1 episode. I was
Definitely.
on the edge of my seat the whole time. And I hate when they start doing like I mean, I don't hate it because I don't hate any part of this show. But when they start going into like computer stuff and I'm just trying to keep up and I'm like, oh, I don't know if I'm smart enough to keep up. Like, it's like I'm just very stressed out when I'm watching it because it's very like brainy.
I get that. For me, I get more stressed out about the existential stuff, like that. But that's part of what I love about this show is like 1 minute I'm having like an existential crisis because I'm thinking of like, what does it mean to be human? Like,
Exactly. That's what the show
like
makes you think about. What does it
yeah.
mean?
And then 1 minute I'm thinking that, and then the next I'm laughing at Sizemore pissing on the map, and it's like
Right.
it's balancing both out, and that's what the show needs to do for me to stay interested. Because if I'm always feeling anxious about existential crap, and just then the show just won't be enjoyable, and I'll stop watching. But it's the balance of it's the balance of both, and we even got action in this episode, so I think they're doing a good job of keeping it all
Action, emotion,
balanced out.
horror, suspense.
Yeah,
It was top
I think they
notch.
just as long as they can keep the levity, peppered in, it's gonna be great.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Definitely.
tier 1 episode indeed.
Stellar
Episode. Okay, so who did you vote for? No, I'm just kidding.
What? Oh no. Oh, for like a second there, I forgot what was going on in the world. It was glorious.
Yeah, no. We probably won't know who's president for like 2 weeks, right? So
yeah, it's usually how it
because there'll be
goes.
like a million recounts and stuff. So
yeah. So
sorry, felt like I just had to bring up the election.
Well, you've been wearing your I voted sticker this whole time. I guess I just got used to it being there.
Yeah.
But hey, good job on voting and doing your civic duty.
I just got to let the world know I voted for the first time in a long time. So
really? Oh, well, good job.
Yeah. Yeah. So what's the plan for next week? Just watch the episode, do a podcast.
I looked up the name of the episode and it's some French word. And I looked up what that meant. And if you get a chance, I'm not going to try to pronounce it because I have no idea. But if you get a chance to Google that word, those two words in French, it's like a kind of art, kind of painting that's like 3D, or it's like an illusion when you look at it. It's the coolest thing in the world. So you can just get lost looking up those kinds of paintings. And I recommend doing that either before the episode or after the episode. And it also gives you an idea of like what the episode's going to involve vaguely, very generally. But
cool. Yeah, I will do that.
So yeah, do that.
All right. Sounds good. Okay, guys, that's it for this episode of TV is Our Real Mom, the Westworld podcast. And we will see you guys next week when we break down episode 7.
Woohoo, getting to the end. Closer to the end.
Thanks for listening. Have a good night.
Yeah, have a good night.
Bye.